Hi, my name is Ross Waterston, the creator and founder of Geordie Consulting and Geordie Intelligence, the YouTube channel that you're watching right now. What we're going to do is we carry on and we extend it to the final semester, really, of our Back to Basics series. So I thought, let's actually look at the Power BI service and what actually is going on within the service and really shape that conversation, because a lot of stuff is out there that we're seeing and that I'm seeing, but there's not a lot that's actually really explaining the realities of what a Power BI implementation actually looks like. And then, of course, we've got the next step of, well, we've got Power BI, we want to move into Fabric. What would we need to do for that? So I think if we understand what we're doing with our Power BI workspaces and with our Power BI environment and the challenges that we face, that's going to prepare us, isn't it, for that next step and into Fabric. But first, let's do the boring bit. Geordie Intelligence is a YouTube channel. YouTube channels are entirely dependent on likes, subscriptions, interactions of any sort that you want to have with the channel. So do me a favor, like the video, tell your friends who are busy learning Power BI, go to Geordie Intelligence. The Back to Basics series is brilliant. Okay? Help us out, and it allows us to keep making content like this and to also make sure it stays free. Let's get started then. Okay, first off, we've got this report page that we've been working on, all right? This is the file from week 11. I've just renamed it week 13 because we're going to go through and do the things that we're going to do with it here, and then I'll put it up into GitHub so it's available for you to download. What I wanted you to see though, right, is around here at the bottom of the page, okay? Because this is the bit that's kind of most important, and this is the reality of a lot of Power BI reports that we see as we're going through and doing consultancy with clients. Okay? Reports with lots of pages and lots of stuff that potentially shouldn't be together. And the problem with doing all this is everything then is stuck with the data, and you've got this big giant blob of everything, and it makes it really difficult to work out what you're doing with it. And I think as well, if I'm being 100% honest, this is where a lot of the question marks come in terms of what do we need to do with protecting our files and managing our Power BI environment. Let's strip all that back. Let's actually look at what's going on and let's see if we can understand, right, this is what we need to do to actually get the results that we need. Now, obviously, with this, we're going to have to accept that there are going to be some limitations. Right? If we're going to stick to using this data set, it's not a full enterprise-wide data set, so it's a bit noddy to do it this way. Right? And I certainly wouldn't recommend doing it this way if your data set was just this size. But this will scale to as big as you want, really. Okay? And your limits would then be into pushing into things like Fabric workspace limits, rather than just saying, oh, it's Power BI, even if you go up through the premium per user route. Okay? This will cope, this will expand. This is stuff I've seen huge data models working with very effectively. There's some little things you've got to do at times, but yeah, nothing is impossible with this. This is a good way of working. What do we do? Okay, so the step number one is going to be, we want to establish this point, don't we? We've got this master report, do not use for visualization. Okay, and as we've said before, more than likely you will end up with some pages in there, but they will be hidden. Yeah, I'm quite happy I can show you some like the Newcastle Parkrun stuff where we've built, there's lots of stuff hidden. Even though it's one big report file, there's lots of hidden pages. Nothing wrong with hidden pages. They're part of how you test things and evaluate what you're doing, and they're part of the development cycle. So I think nothing wrong, don't worry. Okay, in terms of these, you often end up building these when you're doing specific measures, especially once you get to this proper distributed way of working. So we've got this. What this looks like in our Power BI workspace area, okay, is this. Right, now, it's good that we've published a few versions of this in the past, because this kind of really highlights the challenge that you've got. Okay? If you have a single workspace, so whatever is going to be in one workspace, we're going to put everything for a team in one workspace. All you're doing is you're building a silo. And the point of Power BI is we don't want silos. So we go from we don't want silos to let's build a silo. Okay, doesn't work. This is why we, in terms of Geordie Intelligence and Geordie Consulting, recommend that you split them out and split the workloads. So let's go through and think about what we would do. So what I'm going to do with this, right, is I'm going to go to my workspaces and I'm going to create a new workspace. I'm going to call this B2B, back to basics. Okay, and this is going to be data engineering. Okay, we're just going to call it data engineering. Okay, for now. I'm going to apply that. That will create that. Oh, I just realized what I forgot to do. Anyone else recognize what I forgot to do? What I forgot to do was to go into the workspace settings and make sure that it's not picking through one of the Fabric ones, which of course it is. License info. Yep, I don't want it on there. Let's edit that. Go into one of our premium per user ones. So we've got a lot of stuff that we can do, right? This is one of the things that you see. I'll zoom in a bit on it, where you can pick your license type. Okay, you can see we have this Fabric trial. I've been looking at Fabric trial, trying to work out, is this worth doing? I haven't seen enough to make me think the content here is really worth presenting it to you guys yet. I think there is an awful lot of like on the cusp stuff with Fabric, like on the cusp. But I think that's the problem. If we're saying we're going to put stuff into production, it needs to be good, ready in production, not just on the cusp. And I think that's my headache that I've got right now. It makes it really difficult for me. Fabric capacity, we're looking at it. There's some Fabric capacity calculators out there trying to work out, is it even worth us going into an F2? As I say, if we're going to do it, it would need to be done properly. F2, obviously there's a cost implication on that for us to do that. So we would need to think, is this going to be something we're going to produce meaningful content for you guys from to justify the cost? Bear in mind, we'd have to go and beg from Geordie Consultancy to pay for that cost for us. So think about it. Yeah, that's a big reason, think about it. Premium per user still seems to be the license of choice in terms of looking at our client bases. We obviously always try and start clients on Pro, but what we tend to find is something happens or we end up PPU. Normally within about 6 months, we're up to a PPU point of being. Once you get big enough and you're a big enough organization, just in terms of literally bums on seats, you naturally get to that crossover point where your license cost meets the capacity cost of Fabric now, as opposed to premium capacity. And at that point, it's where you would always say, make the change. That was always the advice from Microsoft. That's why it's part of the reason I think why we're struggling with, well, how are we justifying this increased spend in Fabric to a client when we've always had really clear guidance up until now? But anyway, digress, probably a little bit more information you ever wanted to hear, but it's probably worth you knowing it. So I've picked premium per user, okay, which is our one. And the reason why I've picked premium per user is because at some point I think it'll be worth us looking at one of the extra features that you get with PPU that you don't have with just Pro. So we'd put in PPU, but for you and for the size of the data, Pro would work fine. Okay, but as I say, this is where we're stepping into the area that we do need a subscription for it. I'm going to pick premium per user. Okay, you could pick the large semantic model format as well if you wanted, which is, again, can be useful if you've got larger data sets. For this though, small will be fine. I'm going to click OK, so change the access. Right, and we're going to go and create another workspace. New workspace. This is going to be B2B, B2B, models. Okay, and this would be where we're going to create the models. Under advanced this time, make sure we pick premium per user, apply. And then once more, we're going to go and create a new workspace, B2B. This is going to be app. Okay, and I'm going to say app one for now, okay, app one. So, for you guys, this could be like your C-suite. You could have like your finance team. You could have your sales team. You could have your R&D team, whatever it was. But yeah, I'm just going to call it app one. Okay, this is going to be the visualization layer, though, for our apps. Okay, for our visualizations, for what we're doing. If we go back to our area, we can see we've now got these 3 new workspaces here: B2B models, engineering, and apps. You guys didn't tell me again. I hate this Fabric trial. so annoying, keeps picking up. Of course you want the trial. No, I don't. Why would I want the trial as a default? There, and select that license and done. Yeah, okay. Show you that again. Right. So what we've got here then, we've got these 3 workspaces. You can see now, these are all premium per user. So our back to basics, which has got the whole thing in working, is in pro. Okay, so there's no real benefits. It doesn't really make any difference. Now, if we go back to here, this is one of the things, and I think in so many ways, I think this is to blame for part of the challenges that we're seeing with Power BI. Is this really enforces, want to do everything in one workspace? You don't, okay? I kind of understand it, and we'll see if we can replicate this as we go further through. But this create basic visualization task flow, it encourages you, well, just why would you know, you get data, store it, and visualize it all in one workspace. Of course you're going to do it. It implies that it's the right thing to do and that that's optimal. And I think that's, again, I think part of the problem we've got. But anyway, I digress. So if we go over into our, our data engineering side, so this would be our data models, our ETL scripts. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, I'm going to create a new item. And as I say, for me, new items, one of the ones I still use really all the time almost is data flows. Okay, so we're going to come all the way down. I should probably just start typing. Maybe I should have made it a favorite. I don't have any favorites. Okay, but data flow Gen 1. Okay, data flows Gen 2 are part of the Fabric stuff. Again, it's one of those where there are definite advantages of data flow Gen 2. Is it enough to say it's worth switching over? I don't think so. I think this is partly where we get to the issues. Obviously, data pipelines as well, data flow Gen 2, there is value there, but if you're factoring the cost implications in, it makes it difficult. It's a difficult sell still. So anyway, we're going to create this. No, create Gen Flow Gen 1. And the question now is, well, how do we actually do all this? Is there a good way that we can bring stuff in? What we can do is we go to define new tables. Okay? And then we're going to go to blank query just to get started. What we really need is to have something that gives us this view. So if we go back over to here, what we can do is we can go to transform the data. You can see we've got our tables here. These are the ones we need. So I'm going to go right click and copy. And then back over to here, right click. Oh, sorry, no, you've got to hit Control V, isn't it? Control V, I always forget those mixed up. Do that. Okay, and you see it's brought all this stuff through. Now it's going to say, the credentials aren't right for this. The location isn't right. Now all this is coming from, and we have the base query here. So we're going to configure the connection. We cancel that. Now the question is, what we've got is we've got this source. Now, there's a way we can fix all this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to a browser window here, go to GitHub. Okay, and then if we go to our repository and we go to our Power BI 101, and in our 101, we have sample superstore.csv, which if you remember from here, is the file we need. So if we click here, sample superstore.csv, and it brings us to here, we get raw. If I right click on raw and say copy link, and then I go back to here, what we can then do is we can paste this in here. Okay, so you can see we get GitHub, blah, blah, blah. Instead of file content, it's going to be web contents, a capital W. Yep, it is, isn't it? I'll put a capital W in there, haven't it? Yep. Click away. Let's configure the connection. New connection, it's anonymous. I'm going to make this public because it is public. Hit OK. Okay, so that's read that through. So we've been able to convert that from a file connection on my local machine to being something that's based on the web that we've got, okay, on the website. Right, now we've got a couple of things in here where we've referenced tables within tables. Okay, and this is something that Power BI Desktop lets you do, but Power BI Dataflows normally with just a Pro license will not let you do. We can see the source for these is tcustomer. Now, because tcustomer is hidden, it should be fine. What's it not liking? So that's tcustomer as well. It should not be. Let's refresh all that. Let's remove that. I'm just going to do one thing, just quickly check, view this, and I want to check the diagram view just to make sure. Okay. So the issue is that tcustomer is coming from these tables here. So what we would need to do is get rid especially of the connection to the directory. Right? It's fine. Right? This is something that I built, as I say, to work. So the addresses are being brought through to then do that. Not an issue. Okay. Yes, it would be an issue if you were to do it in Pro, and we should fix it, shouldn't we? I will fix it, and then we will put the JSON file for this output for you. Okay, and I'll put that up in GitHub. For the sake of this demo, I'll just carry on. Okay, but essentially, what we would need to do is we would need to in tcustomer here. What we've got is we have we've got this here, this merge in, where we're merging in the address information. So what we would need to do is to actually piece together and replicate, have a T addresses, and then hide that. And it's easy enough to do. It's just a faff on to get rid of those lightning bolts, and then allow you to have it in Pro. I will do it, as I say, and the JSON format for this will be available to download on the GitHub that you saw before. Okay, so we've got that anyway. We're going to save and close. Okay, it goes through, it validates, it says, yeah, good to go. Give it a name, B2B, sales tables, Inc. calendar. Okay, because it's got the calendar table that we've produced already in. All the stuff you're kind of already aware of. It doesn't seem to be much sense to try and do something different with it. Put a description in. Sales tables used for main reports. Okay. Put descriptions in to your data flows. It does make sense, right? You don't necessarily need to go through and do much else. Right? At this point, I'm not going to hit refresh now because I want to show you kind of the content of this. It's really important. Let's go back through to our Power BI desktop. Here we go. Let's go File and New blank report. Just close this before I forget. Right. Okay. So if we now go transform data, new data, and we want more from a data sort, from a data flow, from the Power Platform, data flows, connect. And it'll come up and say, well, where do you want to bring it from? And we could type in here B2B. Then it shows us B2B data engineering. And it shows us here's the data flow. We can expand that and it shows us all the tables. But if we actually look, we can see they're all blank. I get this question so often. We get this question. I don't understand, why is it blank? Okay. You need to actually refresh it first. I'm going to hit cancel for this. I'm going to close this file because I'm not going to use this file. The reasoning behind it all is if we come back, okay, we're here, come to here, and what we've built is a recipe, okay? And you're going to say, well, but I could see what was there to download. I don't understand. And it's like, yeah, you can, but it's a recipe. You can look at the sample data that has gone through as you built it. It was data. It wasn't. That was sample data for you to validate that yes, this would work. It confuses people a lot. If we get to that point, right? So we're going to close this now, and then we can come here, and on this point we can hit refresh now. Little refresh now button. So hit refresh now, and it's going to go away and refresh the data flow. And hopefully I've done it all fine, and it'll all work fine for us, and I'll get no errors, and then I'll feel like I'm really good, and I'll feel uber smug. Right? So we can go through, we can look at the refresh history, we can see what's happening. Bearing in mind, it doesn't update in that refresh history, so you have to keep going back in to see what's happening with it. No way of avoiding it. That's how it works. All right, so that worked. Brilliant. I'm amazing. First time it refreshed all. Of course it should have refreshed all. It had it all ticked properly, didn't it? We went back through, we would now see everything. So what we can do is we need to bring those through and into our main data model, don't we? So how do we do all that? So step one is actually going to be come over to here. And what we're going to do is in our main file that we've got historically, and remember this is connected to everything that's wrong, we don't want this connected to these. So what we need to do is go through and say, right, first off, let me go to a new query. We create a new blank query. Not a blank query, sorry. I'm telling you the wrong things. Let's try and do this properly. Go and create a new query. What we want to do is connect this to a data flow. So we're going to go to more, performance data flows, connect. We'll open up data flows. Because what we need to get to really is we need to understand what the GUIDs are for all these tables. Okay? There's no real quick and easy way of doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into data engineering, expand this out. We're just going to pick and tick the ones that we want, okay, which is all of them. Okay, and you're going to go, it's just going to duplicate everything. And it will duplicate them all. They'll all create with brackets 2 in. Okay, but what we have here is if we go to the advanced editor, we've got something like that. Okay, so it tells us this is what address 1 needs to be. So we're going to cancel that, go to addresses, go to here, go to the advanced editor, Control A, Control V. Okay, so this is now pulling it from the data flow. We'll do the same with calendar. Let me just delete that so I know which ones I've done. Okay, so calendar, advanced editor, so right click, advanced editor, Control A, Control C. Let's go to calendar, advanced editor, Control A, Control V, done. Okay, and then I'll remove calendar. Okay, and I'm just going to go through and do the rest of these in the same way. All right, so what we've done is we've finished the mapping. Okay, so they're all now mapped to the data flows that we've got. Okay, and I've also then been able to get rid of the hidden tables that were temporary ones being used, like the blank query and the T customers. But of course, we're going to fix in the data flows, remember. I remember. Okay, so we're now actually bringing everything through in here. And if we went through into the data source settings, we could see it's all data flows. Okay, so now I'm just going to hit close and apply, and it'll think through and do the updates. It'll probably come and say, oh, you need to change the permissions. No, not permissions. No, it's fine with data flows. It's obviously, these are our data flows that we've used before or in the same environment, Workspace. So not Workspace, it's the same Power BI environment. So it knows my credentials, it knows it's fine. So that works, no problem. We've now got a data model that's now connected to the data flow as opposed to the original one that was created or connected somewhere else. Now what we could do is then go to File and let's publish this. Yep, save the changes. And this time I'm going to publish this to B2B models. Publish that. Okay. Probably should have changed it to a better name than week 13, but we'll leave it as week 13 for now because it'll be useful to have additional publications, additional versions to go further forward. And I want to just check something, just for my peace of mind. Is there a size difference in here? So in theory, yeah, we've cut file size by about 1 megabyte. Okay, so half the file size. Doesn't really matter in terms of from your side. Oh, well, what's going on? What we're doing though is we're changing the way it's working. We're changing the way things are put together. Was it actually week 12, week 11? There's not really a change in file size. Didn't think there was. Yeah. Okay, there's not much data, and this is still running on an import model. Okay, but in theory, given what we've built, we could actually start to look at changing some things. We might have a look at doing that with the fact table side, changing it to be in a direct query structure as opposed to what's happening with it now, which we can do because it's just being brought straight in from the data flow. We'll do that next week, okay, because it would need to be connected to a different file. So we'll do it next week. So now what we have is if we go, we've got here, if we come through back to, where is this not working? This is the joys of demos, isn't it? Here we go. So if we go to models, we can see we've got a model and we've got a report. Now this report is why we say, let's put that, do not use this for reporting, because this isn't an area we want people to play in. This is very much our area of work. Now, if we come in here in the semantic model, we can start to see. So we get a summary of actually what's going on, what's within it. It's behind my head. You can't really see. In terms of the tables that are there, we've got all the tables that we need. Gives us some other information as well about sharing it and lineage. And the lineage is what I wanted us to click on. So let's go to open the workspace lineage and it'll bring this up. And we can now see here, we clearly see we have data flow coming from a different workspace, bringing it into here. Right? Now, this is the important part for us. And this is where, as I say, these task workspaces, I struggle with it because if we go out of here, oh, megabyte, that's new. If I come, where's the close button? Here we go. So if we say we're going to add a task of, say, prepare data, and I think this is the bit that I struggle with because there isn't a way to link something in from a different workspace. You click the link, it has to be from this workspace. So prepare doesn't work, does it? And then, so then we're saying we need to add a task and it's going to be store data. And at that point, then, yeah, we would say, right, let's link in these two. Okay, because for all that's a visual, it's storing data. And all we're going to do in here is store data. So yeah, as I say, for me, this is where I don't understand how these work because you have all that when you come in here and go to the lineage view. So the next thing that we want to do, let's go back to Power BI desktop here. File new, blank query, new blank report. Okay, this will open. And what I'm going to do now with this is we're going to say, well, let's connect this, get data from a Power BI semantic model. I'm going to pick week 13 from our B2B models. And you can see these appear in the right order. We can say this is on endorsement, but these are always in date order at the moment. I'm sure they used to be that your certified were always at the top, I'm sure. But yeah, anyway, now date order. I'm going to hit connect, bring that through. So we've now got this connected to here. So if I come through and I say, right, here's one of my years. I'm going to go Control A, Control C, copy these, okay, and then I'm going to bring it back over to here, and I'm just going to Control V. Okay. Now, what we wanted to do was go to year and put a year filter on all pages. I'm going to put here, this is going to be 2014, apply that. I'm going to file, save as. I will put this where I'm saving stuff to, you guys don't need to, training courses, demos, going to be 2014. Okay, I'm going to save that. Okay, I probably shouldn't have done that. Right, now we'll publish this. Okay, and I'm going to publish this to B2B at 1. Publish that. Okay, so we've now published 2014 to it, right? Now, one of the things that you know I've said is these don't go down that badly, right? This is a really useful way of working. So let's go in here and see we've got 2014. What I'm going to do is I'm going to I need to, you can't save a copy here. Can I just save a copy? Oh, I can. Okay, save a copy. 2015. And then let's do the same. That's good. They've updated that because I'm sure it used to just save it into your workspace 2016. So we've now got these 3 reports that are exactly the same. Right? In terms of in our workspace, what would we actually use this for? Right? This is where, if you think these are exactly the same report, if you have a regular reporting cycle of, say, monthly reporting cycle, you will more than likely have the current month that we're working through. People will want to see that. You will have last month, because that's the critical one that everyone wants to really know. How did last month perform? And then you probably want 2 months ago as well, just because that's the one that was recent enough that somebody's going to want regularly. This method here hasn't taken me a great deal of time. Suddenly, though, what I can do is go into here, 2015 here. Okay. Now, if I change the slicer on here to 2015, apply that filter, and what we could do is under Edit, for example, under Edit, we could choose to hide the filter, go back to Reading View, save it. I can't see the filter. This is now 2015. Okay, we can do the same. We can go into 2016. We can edit this, or we can just change here to 2016. Okay, so remember, offset months. The key thing that we talked about with offset months. We could have offset 0, -1, -2. It goes far along as you wanted with those, but fundamentally it's the same report. You'd probably want to put a header in here, wouldn't you? So let's put a header in. Let's put a text box in. I want Q&A. Put the text box. Q&A now in here, is it? Report for add value. Yeah. Okay. Then we could choose, let's make that, say, 36. Bold. Okay. You could put that up at the top of your page. Shuffle things around a bit. Yeah. Gosh, I really don't want to spend too much time on this. This is not a pretty report page at all, and I'm not trying to make this pretty. I know I'm trying to make this, trying to show you the functions. Okay, so we've got that. So we've got report page 2016. We can then change that to 2015, and it will automatically update, say, 2015. Yeah. So you could imagine we could do this on all pages. You could do this based on months. You could do this based on whatever it was you wanted, and that will work. Text boxes are really useful like that, being able to slot in values. What we could do as well, say we can say, let's go new line. Let's, on the new line, say make this 16. There were total sales, isn't it? It's yeah, there were blah 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 total sales amount. Don't want 0 of those is going to be in US. Okay. Total sales. Okay, we've got, you can see, you can build up that picture though. And again, based on the way this runs, just drop this down. we're starting to see this happening a lot more in the report pages that I'm seeing built. Okay, again, if we went through, changed here to 2015, by 2014, there's this structure, isn't there? We can change what appears, we can do things. These will also support IntelliSense. If you go through build IntelliSense, or if you put those in measures, put the IntelliSense in, you can do stuff. You can do an awful lot nice, cute stuff with those text boxes, as they're still just called. Although now we're starting to see there's a lot more power to a text box than just a text box. So we've got this 2016 one, a bit different to everything else. So we're going to hit reading view, save it, bish bash bosh, that works. Okay. So now all of a sudden, if we went back to here, you can see we've got 3 report pages. So the next thing we say, well, we need to actually get these pieced together. And again, let's imagine current, previous minus one, or whatever you want to call it, the one before, the one before. I'm trying to think through, yeah. It could even be year to date or something along those lines, whatever you choose to structure it as. So if we get to that point, then we might say, well, we want this in. We're going to hit add this to a new dashboard. Sales dashboard. Okay. We can go to the dashboard. We can see here is this. Right? Now, what I could do is, and I'm going to do it one at a time, because again, these are all the same. I'd say do them one at a time, but you want that consistency of view, don't we? This is going to be our 2016 view. Okay, so this could say be current year. I'll try and do that again, and this time I'll not be an incompetent idiot, and we'll do it properly. Okay, so we're going to load up we're going to the data flow, haven't we? Sales dashboard, that was one I was written. Sales dashboard. 4 options. Edit details. It helps if I click save and apply, doesn't it? 2016. Sales amount. Okay, and we can then hit apply. I'm going to make this 3 wide just for the sake of it. Okay. We could go back to here, so we go 2015. I'm going to go click on the, click on the pin it to the dashboard, existing dashboard, sales amount, go to the dashboard, drop that down, make that 3, and this is going to be the details 2015, sales amount, apply that. So we can see, we're starting to see, we can build up these dashboards across the piece, can't we? Then if we go back to 2014, in that sales dashboard, pin it, go to the dashboard, make that 3. Okay, and we can see here. Okay, it's 2014 sales amount. Okay, so we've suddenly built something quickly and easily, and you can see this is a menu system, isn't it? So if I was to go back to my 2016 one, where we've got here, it is annoying that you can't pin text boxes to anything, but it'd be nice if you could. We can start to piece together something that's actually going to be meaningful and valuable. Or this is quick, this is dirty. I wanted to kind of show and lay the groundwork in your minds. So if I went through and published this as an app now, we went back to here and we clicked create the app. App number 1, sample app for easy access. Because your apps are really where you want people to access data from. You don't want to be having them going anywhere else. We're going to select the content that we want people to have. So we'll click add content, and we're just going to click all of these. Okay, click add. We can now see we've got that. We can also then say, well, let's actually add a new section. And I'm going to rename the section. consulting, and then under consulting, I'm going to add a link name, Geordie Consulting, https geordieconsulting.co.uk. Let's open it in a new tab. Okay, and it's going to be in consulting. Going to add that. Okay, so we can start, you can piece these up. That could be a link to something else. That could be a link to a Power App to go and edit data. That could be something else. Like the limit here is kind of your mindset and what it is you want to do. The last thing we need to do is think about audiences. Okay, so we've got a blank audience or a main audience for now. I'm going to put this as Geordie Intelligence. Right. Okay, so that's okay. So we've got a group now. What we can say is we've built this. We've got this is the main page, and we've got the pages underneath it. But the nice thing with this is it's going to encourage you to get into the right place. Okay, so don't worry. This isn't all dressed up as yet. That's going to be part of what we're going to do as we go through this next few weeks. We've got something basic though now. Right? If you wanted additional audiences, you can click add an audience. You could then choose to hide bits or add bits. My advice would be to add bits for audiences, so that what you would do is say, well, you need to be in a different audience to access, say, the Geordie Consulting piece. Yeah? Let's delete that audience. Okay. Audiences, for me, they can get overused. Be really sensible. Make it a way of expanding and giving additional data based on the core component of the app. So as I say, in terms of I'm in that team, but I'm a manager of a team, so I want a management level report, for example, but in a manager's group, so that managers are in the main group, but then they're added into the managers group as well, or you put the managers group as a sub to the main group. If you start trying to get really cute with your permissions in these, bear in mind you can have 10 audiences across your app. It gets really complicated, especially in what we'll discuss next week. So we've got that all done. So we're going to hit publish the app. Are you sure you want to publish it? Yeah, publish it. Gives you a nice link. So I'm going to hit go to the app, and we'll see. It'll now bring me through to this lovely app experience that we have. And we can see we've got Geordie Consulting is available there. If I click on it, it'll take us to the Geordie Consulting website. So that was great. Nice bit of free advertising there. I can go to the different report pages as well. Okay. And if we click on the dashboard, it shows me the dashboard. Now, the point of a dashboard is it's a menu system. So I can look here and I can say, oh, well, hang on, what's happening? That's something that doesn't look right. And I can click on it and it'll take me to that next level of detail down. That's the purpose. That's what the value add is. So your dashboards, especially at the top level, and if we go back here and we look at how we laid out, we come out of here and we look at how I laid out our single pane of glass one, where let's go to the borough performance one, which is one we don't really look at too much. Okay, but what we've got is we started to build up this concept, didn't we? We had like a borough, so we've got Manhattan, we've got Brooklyn. You can kind of get to that. There's an idea here, and if we then were to click on, I want to see what's happening in Manhattan, click on it, it would take me down to a report page focused on just that. Okay, and I have not looked at this month drift management. We haven't updated this properly for a long time. I need to do some work on this. Still manual. But the idea is very simple, isn't it? It's that it will go through and drag you down to where you need it to go. There's not a piece of work where it's going to be, I need to manually, or I need to revisit, I need to do something. The work becomes, we make sure everything is maintained and managed correctly. And that then makes sure that everything goes on from it. Yeah? Yeah. So what do you reckon then? Okay. The way that these structures get built and the way that you need to think about what's happening within your workspaces and your apps is very important. I hope that we've been able to show that the nature of how a lot of the Power BI documentation presents Workspaces is, let's be generous and call it misleading. Okay, I think wrong is a very strong word. It's misleading. If you split out what you do, what it means is that data engineering work that we know that we need, yes, for this model, but what happens if next week somebody else comes and says, oh, we've expanded something else, we need to have, I'm going to create a new model for it. Obviously, I don't want people creating lots of models. We want to avoid that. But if we need an additional model created, which there will always be requirements that go beyond what you do and you know, it's not for you to know and limit everything that goes on in your business. If the requirement is there to build a new model, it should be consistent and against the same table of data. That's the important thing. And the way we do that is by making sure that we have data engineering carrying out in specific locations. Tables are consistent. This is the sales table that you can use. You cannot create your own one, or even worse, modify the main one without anyone knowing. What we can do with this structure is we can actually use permissions to say, well, only these people have edit rights to that workspace and therefore to any data engineering workloads within it. Everyone else, in terms of we are model builders and potentially viewers as well, because depending on what you do, they need access if it's passing through, because, anyway, we'll cover that as well at some point. You can go through and you make sure that they have view. And you might decide, well, everyone can view the sales data. It's not, everyone can, who cares? You've got a Power BI license, you can view it. That's a choice entirely up to you as to how you run your business. The key thing is it's view. So everyone's able to see the same thing, source of truth. Single pane of glass is about source of truth. Because that source of truth is correct, the models will be correct. Because everything can be documented and say, right, I've identified an issue, for example, which happens. Not an issue, but an issue is identified. The issue would be how you handle the issue. We've identified a problem, we've remediated it, and we can then make sure that we communicate with people, saying this needs to happen, that needs to happen. Because we've got dedicated workloads as well and workspaces for them, it makes it possible to have those conversations, and it formulates a structure to have a very structured data environment that is also very agile and flexible. So because we know this is where engineering tasks happen, if an issue comes through and we're going to need data engineering to fix it, but they can't fix it for a month or for something else, or there's a prerequisite, we can then say, well, we're going to either remediate it temporarily within our model, so we can do some work within the model. Again, we just need to document and make sure everyone was aware of it. The business might trust it, we'll accept the issue for another month or so if it's going to be fixed. But it makes it very obvious where things need to happen. Also with this structure, it becomes very clear because you have a clear divide between engineering workloads coming through and the data modeling workload that you need to pick it up. So if suddenly there's a gap or something doesn't work properly, we know where the issue came through. If suddenly my data models aren't loading, but it's showing to do the table, we can go and we can connect to thing. We can go and we can connect our semantic model to it. Does it work? No, it's not working. Something's changed. We can identify what those changes are because it'll say, well, this column isn't available. Something's not right. It makes it very clear. This is the thing. It's really easy to do fault finding with this way of working. And because everything is rigid and structured, it means as well that data is always there. One thing to remember, if you remember back, we had that the data flow was blank, okay, because it hadn't refreshed. The way data flows work and the way Power BI as a whole works is it does side-by-side refreshes. So it will refresh the data while using the historic version for all the reporting needs that people have. So if people are in the model and it's refreshing, they'll be in the model and refreshing, have no issue. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the next day's version or the current version, the new current, is refreshing. Once it's done, the old one is deleted and it transfers over seamlessly. People don't need to be necessarily aware. So what it means is if the refresh fails for any reason, you still have a version that's up and running and working. Right? The one thing that we haven't talked about, and we'll talk about next week, and the reason why we're spending so much time on it next week is because I want to just plant this seed for you. In the app Workspace that we had, Okay? You can see, well, we can see the data as the app, and we can see the data in the workspace. Do not make the mistake of thinking there is a one-to-one relationship between app workspace and between, report content, PBIX content, thin reports within that, and the view that's in the app. They are not linked. Okay? That's something which will come back and bite you, and really is an important topic that we need to cover. And that's why next week we're going to really focus on apps and the minutiae that goes on within apps, and we'll do more about building the dashboards as well. Okay? But it's really important that you think through and understand the idea of saying, well, this is why he keeps banging on about having different workspaces in this workspace strategy. It's also why we released the app that we'd written before. So there's a Power App that we've released. It's on GitHub. It will allow you to manage group membership. You just need to be an owner of the group, but then you can manage and assign who is a member of that group. It's very useful if you're going down this workspace structured route, where potentially you've got workspace members, admins, and viewers, as well as having app audiences that need to be managed and all that kind of things. So this way, much easier, and it removes a lot of the admin load from IT, because all they need to do is assign an owner. Okay. Anyway, if you like what you've seen, get in touch. Okay, Geordie Consulting exists to help businesses of all sizes to actually get the most out of their data assets. What we've shown you is that we know exactly what we're doing. We've covered so much of this with so many clients, and we will keep doing it, and we will keep doing and learning more about what we need to do, because these platforms are constantly evolving. The pace of development that Microsoft has put into Power Platform as a whole is relentless, and it has gone on for nearly a decade now, with monthly updates and monthly refresh cycles where we spend a lot of time and effort just keeping up to date with it. That can be a huge admin burden for you and your teams internally. So share the load, let us help you, get in touch, let's have a free consulting call, and then we can work out how best we can help move your business to the next level. For now though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.